They say it's just a game, just pixels and horror fiction. But the deeper you look into the story of the Spencer Mansion, the more disturbing it becomes. Because there are rumors, persistent, quiet, and terrifying, that it's not entirely fictional. That somewhere out there, hidden in dense forest or behind the iron gates of an abandoned estate, there is a real mansion, a secret place, with underground laboratories, with dark hallways, with research so disturbing, it had to be buried beneath layers of denial, fiction, and silence. In the Resident Evil franchise, the Spencer Mansion is the birthplace of the T-Virus, a sprawling, decaying estate filled with traps, locked rooms, hidden passages, and horrific experiments conducted beneath its foundations. It's the site of the first outbreak, the first zombie, the first bioweapon. But what if this location wasn't imagined, but inspired? Over the years, multiple theories have emerged suggesting that the Spencer Mansion is loosely based on real facilities, private estates used in the Cold War era and beyond to conduct secret biological and chemical research. Properties owned by pharmaceutical companies, military contractors, or shell corporations with no public identity. One such property, referenced in a now-deleted document leaked in the early 2000s, was described as a private biological research site constructed beneath an estate in Northern Europe, operated under total secrecy from the 1960s to the early 1980s. The coordinates were blacked out. The lab's purpose? Viral vector experimentation, human neurobehavioral control trials, and genetic synthesis. If that sounds like science fiction, it's not. Similar terminology appeared in real CIA and KGB files, linked to covert programs on bioweapons and mind control. And then there's George Trevor. In the Resident Evil universe, George Trevor is the architect who designed the Spencer Mansion, only to be betrayed and locked inside it by the very people who hired him. A tragic character. But here's the strange part. He might have been inspired by real-world figures, engineers and architects in the mid-20th century who mysteriously vanished after working on classified military facilities. One such architect, hired to design a mountain research facility in Europe, disappeared just months after construction was completed. No body was ever found. His blueprints were classified. The facility, supposedly abandoned, remains protected by armed patrols to this day. People have tried to explore it. Few have returned. Those who did spoke of long corridors lined with steel, of rooms filled with decaying equipment, and of sealed elevator shafts that led further underground, but couldn't be opened. Some believe this is where the truth behind the Spencer Mansion lies. That Capcom developers may have stumbled across fragments of these stories. Rumors passed through urban legends or secret documents, and used them to craft the horror we know today. But here's where it gets darker. In 1998, a strange file appeared on the dark web. Labeled Project S Alpha Lab, it contained scans of what looked like underground schematics, identifying biological containment areas, a sample processing center, and something called a Type Z observation room. Type Z for zombie? The file also referenced exposure simulations and early-stage neurovirus subjects. It was dismissed as a hoax until parts of its blueprint were matched to an actual building photographed by a German urban explorer. A manor, deep in the woods. Windows blacked out, cameras still mounted, locked tight. The explorer claimed he heard something, machines still running underground. Since then, more sightings have been reported. Armed vehicles entering private roads near unlisted estates, sounds of industrial generators at night. And in one case, a warning sign written in Russian, English, and what appeared to be Latin, Contaminatum intus est. The contamination is within. There are whispers of labs built not just to research, but to deploy, of viruses engineered to control behavior, manipulate aggression, erase memory, projects allegedly tied to covert military operations, clean-up units, and long-forgotten pharmaceutical giants. And here's the truly terrifying theory: that the Resident Evil games were a way to hide the truth in plain sight, to turn reality into fiction so no one would believe it if it ever surfaced. What better way to bury a secret than inside entertainment? But if even part of this is true, if a real Spencer Mansion exists, then what happened inside it? What's still hidden beneath its foundations? And most importantly, did the experiments ever stop? Because the latest rumors suggest they didn't. There are reports of recent activity. Unmarked helicopters landing near forested estates. New tech signatures underground. Security systems back online after years of inactivity. Some believe the virus they were working on wasn't just to infect, but to control. A biochemical way to influence the mind, create compliance, induce rage, or shut down free will entirely. A virus that doesn't kill you, just turns you into something else, something obedient, something useful. And maybe it was never meant to be released in an outbreak. Maybe it was meant to be distributed, silently, gradually, globally. We laughed at the idea of a mansion full of zombies, but maybe the real horror is that it already happened, and no one noticed.